Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukhaṁ karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim jatkripatamahang vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. I'm an old writing teacher, so part of my shtick is who's my audience. So I want to take a quick survey. Is there anyone who's never been here before? Is there anyone who's never been to any Hare Krishna centers before? Oh, cool. Thank you. Okay. 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 I'm gonna try to do this in a way that this is the trick when we're speaking to an audience about topics like this, like Bhakti Yoga. You don't want to speak on topics that are so esoteric that relatively inexperienced people won't get it. But it needs to be, if you speak too fundamentally, then the old timers are going to think, oh, that again? So somehow or other we have to satisfy all the different elements of our oh my goodness. You guys?
You're home away from home, Maharaj.
This is like a hug.
Maharaj is from Hawaii, and those flowers, Hawaii made those flowers famous.
Yeah, this is one of our favorite flowers in the islands. So I want to take a few minutes, because that's all I have, to talk about Bhakti Yoga, and we'll see how this goes. This is a little ambitious. This isn't an approach I've taken before, so we'll see how I'll do. Is there anyone who's willing, who will volunteer to be my timer? I have this clock here, but it's not like exactly in my natural field of vision. Huh?
I'll be your timer.
Okay. So maybe 15, oh gosh. Well, 6:25. I want to see.
Where our other Maharaj is?
Just now coming.
Just not Indian Standard.
Exactly. That's how we roll. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to just talk a little bit about bhakti. And I wanted to do something a little, I was thinking, my idea originally was to focus on one verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, but I think I need to do something a little more comprehensive to get us there. So, here we are in 2024, and let me see the hands of anyone who thinks we're not in a bit of a mess right now. Not in a bit of a mess right now. We're not in a mess. It's just kind of, especially in this age, it's kind of how things are. So why are we in such a mess? I'm going to use I want to use an analogy to kind of get us going here. This is an analogy that my spiritual master, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, used when he spoke at the University of Hawaii in 1972, May of 1972. So he said, imagine you have a pond with nice still surface, and you drop a stone in that pond. What's going to happen? It's going to create ripples, and the ripples will radiate in concentric circles from the point where the stone was dropped. But what if you drop another stone in the pond? Same thing's going to happen. And it's a really nice, peaceful pattern, isn't it? It's kind of a meditative thing. I think I've mentioned this before. I know I mentioned it Friday night in Chula Vista, that my daughter was like an early iPhone user. I was for many years very proud of my $15 flip phone, and a friend of mine eventually wore me down, and I ended up getting an iPhone a few years ago. But my daughter, Lolly, was a very early iPhone user, and she had this app, meditation app, that it was like, you open it up and the screen looked like a pond with round stones at the bottom. And if you touched the screen, boom, ripples. And you could, wiggle, jack your finger across the screen and it would make ripples that would kind of follow it's pretty cool. So you drop a stone over here. It's a very nice, peaceful pattern of concentric circles radiating from that point. Drop another stone, same thing, until those ripples run into the ripples from the other stone. Then you get a little chop. And if you drop another stone and another stone and another stone and another stone, then you got a mess on the surface. It's not peaceful. It's not meditative. So, what does that have to do with our situation nowadays? Every one of us acts, if we think about it honestly, we generally act as if we're the center of the universe. Right? Things are important more important the closer they are to me. My family, my house, my job, my country, my football team, whatever. This is how. If you have say you have an NFL championship, a Super Bowl game, I guess they call it, and you got are the Chargers still in San Diego?
Nope, they're in LA.
Okay, forget that. And the Rams aren't in L.A. They're in St. Louis?
No, they're in LA.
Now they're back in L.A. God. All right, there goes my whole talk. So, go back to my day. We had there was whatever the league was. I remember there was this playoff between the Miami Dolphins and the San Diego Chargers. This was a long time ago. And I remember hearing this game on the radio. I was sitting grading papers, and it was very exciting. But let's say it was a Super Bowl. It was the Dolphins and the Chargers. And the Chargers won. What would happen all over San Diego? Riots. People would be celebrating like crazy. And they'd be turning police cars over and setting them on fire and everything. If the Chargers lost, what would happen? Riots. Right? Not celebratory riots, maybe a little even more violent. Maybe other people's cars would be turned over and set on fire. Because, my team, just like in Europe, especially in the UK, I guess, they call them football hooligans. They go to their soccer matches and, well, they do it here too. They paint themselves up, in the colors of the team, whatever it is. So it's my team. This is the important team. We learned this in school. I remember in high school, I went to high school in Northern Virginia. My high school was Mount Vernon High School. Our rival high school, it's usually the closest high school, right? Groveton High School. And we'd go to the football game, the Groveton football game, where the Groveton kids would come to Mount Vernon, and there'd be fights at the football game. And these are kids who probably went to junior high school together, or at least elementary school. because they're kind of in the same area. And the districts are just divided up a little differently for high school, middle school, and elementary school. It just doesn't make any sense. But because we're identifying, we're the black and gold for Groveton Tigers, or we're the maroon and gray Mount Vernon Majors, we got to get into a fight. Not so much with the other schools. It's just a silliness. So it's this selfishness, this self-centeredness, that's the cause of our problems. I see myself as the center of the universe. Hannah sees herself as the center of the universe. And if her interests and my interests aren't in complete sync, then there's going to be maybe a little tension between us. It might erupt into nuclear war. Who knows? These things are possible. So that's our problem. That's our big problem, that each of us behaves as if we're the center of the universe. What's the solution to that? Well, the solution is proposed by the Srimad Bhagavatam in the second verse of one of the texts that we use, called Srimad Bhagavatam, where it tells us, it says, Dharma prochita koitavotra paramo nirmatsaranam satam. This is a text for people who've actually found the solution. They've already done what Krishna suggests at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, to give up all kinds of conventional dharma or religion and just take shelter in him exclusively. And so the Bhagavatam picks up at the next step. Okay, for those who've already done that, who've already completely rejected selfish dharma, self-motivated religion that's about me, however you characterize it. I'm watching the clock. For those folks, we've got a solution. And that solution is selfless activity. It means giving up all kinds of self-interested senses of religion or dharma or any kind of behavior. But how's that possible? How's that actually possible? Well, the solution to that, the next step would be to understand that the real solution is selfless activity. We call that bhakti. And so what does bhakti mean? In another of our texts, that's answered. It means behavior, first of all, behavior in those who, first of all, are released from all kinds of self-interest. The Sanskrit is anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadhyanavartam. They don't have any kind of self-interest. So what would be the positive part of that? Well, this is the definition of bhakti in that text, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Anukulyena Krishnanushilanam. It means activities, ongoing activities, a kind of cultivation of activities that are meant for satisfying the actual center of existence, the source of everything. We call that Krishna. Some folks call it God. I think God, even the capital G, God, is a kind of a diminished conception of the real center of being compared to that, to the conception of the Absolute that's given in the Srimad Bhagavatam. I'll get there. So then, what does that mean practically? Krishna tells us twice in the Bhagavad Gita. Once, right at the core of the Bhagavad Gita, at the end of the 9th chapter. The 9th chapter is called The Most Confidential Knowledge. And Krishna builds over 34 verses in this chapter to a really high pitch of what he means by bhakti. And so he says, in Sanskrit, he says, Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. What that means is, Manmana, use your mind to think of me. Manmana, bhava madbhakta, become my devotee. Madhyaji, worship me. Mam namaskuru. Offer any submission to me. In other words, work for my interest. He says that right in the middle of the Bhagavad Gita, and then he says it again at the end. Same thing. At the end of that chapter, the end of the 18th chapter, he says, okay, we've talked about so many secret things, so many different kinds of confidential things. Now you better buckle up, because we're going to talk about the most confidential of all secrets. And then he says the same thing. Munmana bhava madbhakt. And what that boils down to is just love me. And that's what bhakti is about. That's what drives bhakti. As we engage in bhakti, three things happen at the same time and progressively as we do it. And this is described by a great sage to a king called Nimi later in that other text of Srimad Bhagavatam. So he says, Bhakti pareshano bhavo viraktiranyatra cha. Three things happen when we engage in bhakti. They happen simultaneously and they happen progressively. And he makes another analogy here. And that is with the meal, and I'll get there. So the things that happen in bhakti are, well, first of all, bhakti. That inheres in the activity itself. Oh, good. That's inherent in the activity itself, that bhakti, that there is some devotion behind the activity. And then pareshanubhava. Pareshanubhava means understanding from personal observation. In other words, direct experience of the Lord, direct experience of the Absolute. And this doesn't have to be some, oh, God has revealed himself to me or anything like that. It can be something as seemingly ordinary as digging a really good kirtan or some really good prasadam, food that's offered to the Lord, or some other activity, just really appreciating something. And then the third thing is viraktiranyatra, complete detachment from everything else. And to help us understand that sage, he uses an analogy that's parallel. Just, he says, as three things happen at the same time and progressively as we eat a meal. And those are tushti, pushti, kshudapaya. Pleasure, nourishment, and relief from hunger. So those three things, tri eka, or trika eka kala, three things happen. They happen at the same time and they happen progressively, and they're parallel. Those two triads are parallel. So that pleasure is like the bhakti, the nourishment is that perception of the Lord. We get some reciprocation, and then then a relief from hunger, which is like detachment. And one of our acharyas points out that there is a flaw in this analogy. We can't keep eating forever. But we can keep engaging in bhakti forever. So the pleasure, the nourishment, and the detachment from everything else, they're just going to continually grow. It's not going to stop. And that, I was just thinking, when I was looking at the verse, this pareshanubhava, this direct perception of the Lord, this is parallel. This is the same thing as we see it in the second verse of that same 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, where bhakti is described as pratyaksha avagamam, that we can actually perceive its effects ourselves. We can perceive it directly. It's pretty much the same thing. And so what's happening there is we're developing love for someone, how am I doing? For someone who can actually reciprocate our love in whatever form that love takes and however intensely. We were speaking about this Friday night in Chula Vista. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Ye yata mam prapadyante tangs tataiva pajamyam. Mamuvart manavartante. So he says, I respond to everyone according to their approach to me. If they approach out of duty, he'll give them something. If they approach out of enmity, he can give them something. If that's what they, if that's the kind of relationship they want, he can respond in that way. And if they approach in complete self-abandonment out of love, he'll give himself completely to them. This is really what we need. This is the real solution to all our problems. All you need, let's hear it, boomers, is love. Da, 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 right? That's really the solution. What was the Jefferson Airplane song? Don't you want somebody to love? Don't you need somebody to love? Wouldn't you love somebody to love? And we really want someone who can reciprocate our love, who can really answer our love in kind. The song was pointing out how the world just disappoints us when the truth is found to be lies and all the joy within you dies. Don't you want somebody to love? Tears are running down your breast and your friends, baby, they treat you like a guest. That's not love. That's duty. Don't you want somebody to love? Don't you need somebody to love? Wouldn't you love somebody to love? And love is an exchange. Love is an exchange. And the result of that we call rasa. This is the experience people have when we exchange love. Now, in this world, it's generally going to be a little disappointing because each of us still has some, we still hold back a little something. We still reserve something for ourselves. But real love is just giving yourself. An element of it is complete trust. And we know that we know that in our romantic lives. We know that in our family lives. We know that in our friendships. That the extent to which that love is real, is fruitful, is to the a part of that love is the trust. We tell people that we love, we can tell them anything, and we know there's not going to be judgment. That's confidence. That's trust. So that's a part of love. So this is what we really, really want. The situation in which we're creating conflict by dropping stones in different places in the pond, that also leaves, this is people who've studied trauma and its effects on people and societies. One of the things they understand is there's something missing. And people who create problems for others, there's something missing. A lot of writers have addressed it as a God-sized hole or a God-shaped hole. But what fills that hole is love. And that's actually the resolution to all our conflicts. It sounds really lofty, but if we think about it carefully, it's really practical. And so that's what the Krishna consciousness movement has brought, has to offer. That's what we have to offer, a way to learn how to love. And the easiest way is by associating with people who have that love, because is it too soon for me to say this? It's viral. It's catching. There is a supposed translation of a Hafiz poem. Hafiz was a Sufi poet 800, 900, 1,000 years ago. I can't remember now. And this one book it's a little controversial, but he's got one poem in there that I thought was really cute. Hafiz says, I caught the happy virus while I was out chanting God's names under the stars last night. It's very contagious. So kiss me. I shared that on Facebook a few years ago, and a friend of mine, a fellow monk, sannyasi monk, made a comment. He says, I'm known as the hugging Swami, now you're going to be known as the kissing Swami. And I just thought, yeah, that's exactly the last thing I need. But the idea is there, that love is contagious, just as anger is contagious, just as excitement is contagious. We have this phenomenon we refer to as mass hysteria. So, is that the horn? Okay. Okay. Oh, yes, it is. Shame on you, Maharaj. Falling down on the job. Not in front of the men. So that's actually the solution. So I'm going to stop here and see if there's any discussion, any comments, questions. Well, I have a possible couple of minutes. I'm willing to yield now. Yes, sir.
So, when we're in kirtan and the monk starts hitting us with water, what's that for?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
When we're in kirtan, the monk starts to... So, when we're in kirtan and the monk starts like splashing us with water, what's the purpose of that?
Oh, that water was just offered to the Lord in the ceremony that we engage in then, the arati ceremony, and it becomes, it's as if it has washed the Lord's feet, so it becomes very sanctified. So he's just kind of sharing that blessing with us. It's that simple. Okay, I'm going to stop here and let Bhakti Sundar Maharaj.
Thank you very much.
Ashram Maharaj.
Did you record it?
Hare Krishna. I'm happy to share with Maharaj the class today. I get so much wisdom from hearing from him.
Oh, I don't think your
Hare
mic's on.
Hare Krishna. Do you hear me better now? Oh, good. All right. So, Maharaj was talking about football, and I just remembered something related to that. Some years ago, I was living in Los Angeles Temple, ISKCON Temple, and we went on Harinam on Hollywood Boulevard. And we were doing the kirtan, very enthusiastically, like 20 devotees, 25 devotees. And at that time was the World Cup, football World Cup. So one journalist with TV channel, she stopped us and she put a mic in front of me. I was leading the chanting. So, and she said, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "Yes, of course." She said, "What do you think about the football, match, the World Cup and soccer? Yes, soccer in America, Anyway, I told her, look, a soccer game is like very similar to human life. She said, really? In what sense? I said, when there is a soccer game and one of the group approach the goal to be able to, have a goal, and if they miss it by few centimeters, oh, such a great loss, we almost did it, we almost made it. In the same way, to achieve this human life and not to use it for self-realization, for understanding ourselves, understanding God, is the greatest loss. Wow, so profound. So, do you agree with sports? You, Hare Krishna, are not against the sports? And I say, no, we are not against sport. We just advise young people, okay, do sport, but stop taking drugs and alcohol and chant Hare Krishna. Oh, how you chant Hare Krishna? They say, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. They like it that. So, I mean to say a human life is so precious, such a wonderful gift, because only humans, we have the God-given intelligence to understand what is the purpose of life. Most people think purpose of life is to enjoy our body or the senses the most we can. But the body is gonna finish. So if we put our hope to be happy with the material pleasure of the body, we are gonna be frustrated because the body is gonna end any given day, you know. So our philosophy, Krishna conscious philosophy, is die to live. And for that, I'm going to tell you a story. I heard that when I was traveling in India, so many towns and villages, and, you know, you talk to so many people. And so the story goes, one Indian businessman named Kumar, he went to Africa to do some business. And after he finished his business, he went to a beautiful park, you know, with lakes and beautiful trees. And while walking in the park, he stopped to watch very beautiful, what you call, those big parrots, colorful parrots.
Macaw.
Macaw they call them, isn't? Macaw. Okay? Yeah. So he said, wow, these parrots are so big, so colorful, so beautiful. I haven't seen in India parrots like that. So he thought, I will go behind the tree and in a low branch I will catch one, take it to India. So he did that. He catch one of those macaw and put it to sleep and took it to India. And he put it in a big, beautiful cage and with nicely decorated, and he will give him nice nuts and fruits and honey and everything. His friend will come to visit. Oh, where you got such a beautiful parrots? Oh, I brought from Africa. Oh, so nice. So he started teaching his macaw parrot Hindi words. And, you know, parrots, they learn fast. Some few years ago, scientists were bewildered by one African parrot who memorized 1,000 words. And not only that, he could make his own phrases of it. It's a real story, this. So the parrot of our story also learned many words and sentences and everything. So like after a year, Kumar told this parrot, my dear parrot, I'm planning to go back to Africa to do some business, and most probably I will go to that park where I found you. If I see your friends, do you have any message for them? The parrot said, yes. If you see my friends, tell them that I miss them, I love them very much, but I'm happy in this cage since you are giving me nice fruit and nice nuts and, you know, things like that. Okay, I will tell them your message. So the man went to that park after he finished his business, and the same parrots were there in that same tree. So he stood in front of them and gave the message. And as soon as he gave the message, one of the macaw parrots fell dead. The man was in shock. He said, oh, maybe he missed very much his friend, you know. They were very close to each other, you know. I don't know. I'm sorry for the poor guy, you know. But anyway, what can be done, you know. Life mysterious sometimes. So he went back to India, and after a while he stood in front of the cage and told this parrot, you know, I'm sorry to tell you, my dear parrot, that this happened, you know. As soon as I gave your message, your friend dropped dead. I'm sorry. And as soon as the parrot in the cage heard that, he also dropped dead. So the man was in complete shock. No, I should not have given him this bad news. Maybe he had a heart attack, you know, whatever, you know, sad news about his friend. He was crying, you know. So beautiful parrot I had, and now I lost it. And anyway, he calmed down after a while. He opened the cage, took out the dead body of the parrot, went to his courtyard to make a grave, you know, on the ground. And he put the body there and went to get some tools, to make a grave. And as soon as he walked a few steps away, the parrot flew away. The macaw flew away, stood in the branch. And the man was in shock. He wasn't dead. You cheated me. Why you did this? And the parrot said, well, my friend from Africa sent me a very important message. And what was the message? The message was, die to live. Make yourself dead, play the dead, so you can escape the cage. So the other parrot didn't die either. He just played the dead. It's like the guru sending a message to the disciple. Play the dead to get free, So what means die to live? Means to die for ignorance, for illusion, for all these bad things, and to live for Krishna, for eternal life, happy life. Isn't that a good story? So now, many stories like that I brought to you in this small book called When Times Get Tough. Stories like this, poems, remembrance of Prabhupada, many other things, very variety subject, spiritual subject. And some lady poet, famous in Mexico, she wrote this about the book. I'm going to read it small. Said, the greatest beauty and the deepest wisdom come together in this book that His Holiness Bhakti Sundar Goswami offers us, like spring water or like the tastiest fruit. Like spring water because it refreshes our senses and washes our soul. Like the tastiest fruit because it feeds our hearts. Because these poems and short stories are a source of joy that is experienced with the soul and heart overflowing due to the teachings that emerge from the words of this book, but also to the ecstasy of his dedication in which he makes us participate with the reading that elevate us to the highest peaks of mystical literature from humility. Let's enjoy this gift. And this Mexican poet, she's a theater director. She wrote 9 books of poetry which were translated and published in English, French, Portuguese, and Arabic. So she's also numerous anthologies in Mexico, Spain, Canada, and France. So she read this book and she liked it and she decided to write something. So I presented this book in Spanish in Mexico in the House of the Poet in Mexico City. They have a big house, all poets come together, So I was invited to present this book. So I'm offering now this book to you. You can acquire it if you like, and at the end of the lecture. But now we can have a little more discussion.
I just have a quick question. I need to interrupt.
Yes.
But will you be sitting maybe in the... Yeah, okay, why not?
Yeah, you can suggest anything in that regard, please.
Well, I just want to make sure it's okay. You want to sit in the front hall with a stack of your books?
Yes.
And people who want to get the book could come get one from you?
That's a good idea.
And would you be willing to sign a copy?
Of course, I can sign
So if you
a
want to
copy.
get a signed copy by the author,
Okay.
I know I haven't read the book yet. I have a copy, but I haven't had a chance. I got it yesterday. But I'm sure it's full of really fun stories like this one about the parrot. So I highly recommend you get it. It's a simple, easy book, fun. It'll stick in your head. And you can find Maharaj after the talk in the front hall. He'll sign a copy. What's the cost, Maharaj?
Could be 7, 8,
Something like that. Okay, we'll work it out with you.
$10, whatever you like.
No, I didn't
Because
mean to
it's-
interrupt both of you. You can both take questions
yeah,
now. But I
sure.
just wanted to make...
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj. It's a very limited, printed, only 100 copies, so that's why it is a little costly. That's
Very rare.
very, a few books.
your copy before it's gone.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Don't miss the
Hare Krishna. Okay, sure. Sure you will, Maharaj. I'm sure you will. So I would like to hear from you if you have any comment, questions.
And now you can also ask Maharaj.
Yes. Now let me read you one poem. Would you like to hear a poem? Okay. I will read you a poem. Let's see. Let me try to find it first. Okay. This poem is called Govardhan Parikrama, pilgrimage around Govardhan Hill. It says, I travel with my heart to the refuge of your lotus feet. Clear thoughts flow through my mind while I circumambulate the holy mountain, Govardhan. Transcendental joy overcomes my senses. A wave of ecstasy engulfs my body. My hairs stand on end. My tears flow. My voice shocks up. The world appears vacant. I feel intense separation. O Supreme Divinity, O Lord, when will you take possession of this poor heart? Haribol. And, many things like that. So, I would like to hear from you if you have any comment or question. Please do. We have a few more minutes to share, And order-wise, I can tell you one more story from the book. Would you like to hear another story from the book? Oh, first, let's see if there's any questions. I guess, yes. Plus the mic, please.
So, for people that are wanting to be more devoted to Krishna, how do they balance out their life? Being devoted to the temple, but also having to go out into regular life and living regular life outside the temple.
Very good question.
What would you say how it
Very good question. Being a devotee of Krishna doesn't mean you have to give up all your material duties or to society or family or jobs or anything like that. Doesn't mean that. It means to offer whatever you do with love to the service of the Lord, service of Krishna. Arjuna, he was a military man, he was a warrior. And his service to Krishna is to fight for the right cause, for the spiritual cause, to please Krishna. So sometimes it is misunderstood that become devotee of Krishna means you have to give up everything. No, you have to give up everything bad. That's for sure. Accept everything good, Once a reporter asked Prabhupada, can you please tell me what is good, what is bad? Because sometimes we don't know what is good, what is bad. And Prabhupada said, bad is to eat meat, to drink wine or liquor or take drugs and to have illicit sex and to gamble. These four things are bad. I remember first time I went to visit the temple we have in Las Vegas. Devotees picked me in the evening from the airport and we were going to the temple. But we passed through Las Vegas and was a big neon sign, with 4 big pictures, colorful pictures. They were a movement. One was a bottle of wine on a cup. Another one was a steak on a plate with knife. The other one was a roulette casino. And the last one was a half-naked girl dancing. So I told the devotees, see, everything we don't do, they do it here. If you can't do all the 4 things in one place, that's paradise for them. But they know it is not good. Otherwise, why they call Las Vegas Sin City? They know it is sinful, isn't it?
Las Vegas. Kama Veda, Krota Vega, Manasa Vega.
Good one, Maharaj. Thank you. I like Maharaj's humor. So then Prabhupada added to the man, and the good things is not to do these things and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So being devotee of Krishna doesn't mean you have to give up your job or your family. Just give up those bad things and chant Hare Krishna. That's simple. Read the books, come to the temple, ask question if you have any doubt. Don't keep it for yourself, you know. To have doubt means you're intelligent. We don't recommend blind following. No. This philosophy is to be understood with the intelligence. Because when we understand things with our intelligence, that's the closest thing to the soul. The intelligence is very close to the soul. It's almost spiritual to understand things with the intelligence. I speak about that in the book too. How to understand things. How to assimilate the knowledge. No? Because we don't accept something unless we understand it. If you don't understand, keep hearing, keep asking until you understand it. Once you understand it, then there is acceptance. You accept. Once you accept, you are convinced. Once you are convinced, you pay more attention. And when you pay good attention, Krishna's in the heart cleanses the heart from dirty things. That's the way Bhakti Yoga works. It's about paying attention and have a feeling of gratitude for everything we are receiving by the mercy of Krishna in life. And devotee's attitude is, even when things go wrong, devotee think, maybe because of my past karma, I should be suffering even more. But since I'm trying to be a devotee of Krishna, Krishna very kindly is diminishing what I actually deserve. That's the mentality of true devotees. No? They never blame God for. Many people, I've heard many people saying, "Oh, I don't believe in God because otherwise, why there is so much suffering in the world? Why so many wars, so many this, that?" But they don't understand. Once I gave a lecture in one university in El Salvador, the country, in the theological department. One student challenged me with this question. He said, "You're saying that God created the universe. Okay, I may agree with that. But we see so much evil in the world. So that means God created evil? How we can be all good if He created evil?" And I told him, I'm going to answer your question with another question. Do you believe in darkness? He said, yes. I said, no. Darkness doesn't exist. It's only the absence of light. If at night you turn off the light in the room and then you turn it back on, you don't see darkness fighting with light to stay in the room. That's only science fiction movies they show this thing. So darkness, only absence of light. In the same way, evil in the world is the absence of God in the heart of people. People turn their back to God. They do evil, not God. They create evil. And then he asked, then okay, is understandable, but then why God allows people to behave in an evil way, in a bad way? I told him, He could force everyone to be good. He has that power. If He wants to, He can do it. But then it has no meaning to be good by force. That's no value at all. It's like a robot. There's no way to choose to be either way. So free will is very important, and God respects everyone's free will. So,
Why don't we, because I'm looking at time.
okay.
You finish up what you want.
Yeah.
The next question we can have to Ashram Maharaj.
Yes.
That way there's, you have everybody gets
Yes, thank you for being the alert there. Yeah, referee. All right. If you like to ask Maharaj question or myself, go ahead. Yeah, I'm finished.
Maharaj?
Let them ask the question to whoever they want. Yeah, I mean, that's free will, you know. I understand, but let them freely choose whatever they like, you know.
I have a question. Okay. You were telling in the half you answered part of my question. My question is like if in the world the evil if we realize that people are doing evil things, and if our intuition tells that we need to stay away from certain people which we don't like, to stay away from, like, it's not that we think that they should not be good, they should go worse. We are not thinking like that, but we think like wherever they are, they should be good. Everyone should be good. And just we are keeping away from the people. And if we do that, then loving someone and loving all, will that mind and the loving all mind will be a contrary. So which one should be going with? Our intuition tells that stay away, and the dharmic principle tells love all. And what should we follow?
Maharaj would like to answer the question.
Sorry, it's the question.
That's okay.
Well, I mean, one way to think about that would be in the New Testament, in the Bible, when Jesus is asked by one of his followers what the most important commandment is, because they're Jewish, they're all about rules, right? Got the 10 Commandments, and you have all these things, you know, you can eat and you can't eat, and all these different rules. So he asked him, Master, what's the most important commandment? And Jesus' response was, the first commandment is to love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And the second is to love your neighbor as yourself. And he said the second, which is just like it, which is similar. In other words, it's inextricable and inextricably linked, is to love your neighbor as yourself. So we can love the people who do ill things, but sometimes we need to love from a distance so that we don't become harmed. We have to take care of ourselves. We have to take care of our own hearts. Now, if we love powerfully enough and we have the kind of influence that can work changes in other people's hearts, then we might be able to reach out to them. But sometimes we need to know who our tribe is. We need to know who's family and who's not. And we don't necessarily want to be fenced off from the world, but at the same time, we need to keep ourselves in a situation where we can grow our own love. And so, what is it? Jesus said, "Hate the sin, not the sinner." So the evil that others do creates problems for others, and if we can do something to help, if we can do something to bring about solutions in the world, that's a great thing. And if we can't, we have to know our own strengths. And so if we can't, then we take care of ourselves and those whom we can help. I don't know if that helps so much.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to add something, Maharaj, or just something? Yeah, I can add something to that. Oh, yeah, I mean, just short explanation. Yes, I agree with Maharaj. We should hate the sin, not the sinner, like Lord Jesus said. Because if we hate the sinner, how we can help him, So, but at the same time, it is advised in the Shastra, avoid bad company and seek good company. It's very important. If you keep company of thieves, you will end up stealing. Isn't? If you keep company of drunks, you will end up alcoholic. So it's very important to keep distance from bad company and seek good company. That helps you in your spiritual life. Isn't? So that's very important principle. Thank you.
It's kind of how we train our children, right?
Yeah.
There are some kids we prefer that they play with, and others we prefer they didn't. Sometimes the scriptures compare ourselves to a crystal, and if we put a clear crystal in a green box, it's going to look green. If we put it in a red box, it'll look red. I was just thinking of my own example when I was a kid back in the 50s. My friends and I, this was the 1950s, and the coolest people in the movies were juvenile delinquents. And so we wanted to be JDs. We wanted to be juvenile delinquents. And the easiest way to do that was to be in a gang, but there weren't any gangs for middle-class white boys in elementary school in the San Fernando Valley back then. So we made our own. And at a certain point, my parents, my dad, I never got to ask them about this, but my dad got a job in Washington, D.C., on the other side of the country, as far away from my bad influence friends as we could. So sometimes parents do drastic things like that. So we want to kind of imbibe that example in our own lives. That these are essential principles in building character. Keep good company, avoid bad company.
Do you have a question?
Yes, I am. My question is how to find and save love in hurt. I don't mean that love which we can feel to our parents, children, or animals, or anybody else. Mm-hmm. I mean that love, clear love, like a Lord loves us.
Okay. Actually, this word love is sometimes misused, for selfish purposes, I love you if you scratch my back, and then I will scratch back your back. There's some interest involved, But actually, we can't love anybody unless we first learn how to love God, how to love Krishna. Because He's the origin of everything and everyone. It's like if you have a beautiful tree in your garden full of fragrant flowers and you want to see grow nicely, you have to water the root. You just can't water the leaves. They're going to dry. You have to go to the root. The same way, the root of the universe, of everything that exists, the origin of everything, including ourselves, is God, Krishna. So unless we learn the art of loving Krishna, loving God, we can't love anyone. Really, real love. When we see everyone related to Krishna as part of Him, as a spirit soul, not as bodies, the body is the covering of the soul. The soul is eternal. The body is temporary. When the body dies, the soul doesn't die. That's the spiritual understanding. So to develop real love means spiritual love, to learn how to love God. And once we really know how to love God, how to develop this love, then we can love everyone, not just only my family. Why not others' families too? Why not only my country? Why everyone? Everyone is part of Krishna. Everyone is my brother, my sister. Everyone should be loved and respected. Everyone, not only humans, even animals. You see, in the West, when Prabhupada came to the West, he was in shock. He said, people love their dogs, but kill the cows. No matter how hungry they are, they will never eat their dog. They prefer to starve than eating their dog as if there is some emergency or something. No? So this is very important to love also. We love even the animals. Why we don't eat meat? Because we love the animals. We don't want to harm them. We don't want to help others harming them either. So that's why we avoid anything to do with that. No? That's simple. Sometimes kids ask me this question. At school, my friend asked me, why you're a vegetarian? And I don't know what to tell them. Tell them that. You love your dog? Yes. Well, I love all the animals, not why only the dog only.
All right, we'll take one more question.
One more question and we...
Ashram Mars can answer.
Sure. Okay.
If it's an Ashram Maharaj question.
Good.
Hare Krishna, everybody. It's actually not a question, it's his answer, the one he stated that
Questions.
if isn't that a part of devotion too? Yeah. If you go to work and you pray, isn't that a part of devotion and Krishna likes that too? Isn't that karma yoga? When somebody goes to work and prays at the same time?
Yeah, there is a spectrum, and karma yoga means you work and you dedicate something from your work to God. Bhakti yoga would mean whatever you do, everything that we do, we dedicate it to God. Krishna says that in the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Whatever it is you do, it should be done as an offering to me. Ultimately, when he's asking us, in the verse that I cited from end of the 9th chapter and the 18th chapter, Manmana Bhava Madbhakto, just love me, that Mam Namaskuru means offering ourselves to God. So whatever it is we do, like my own life is kind of an example of that. I was married for over 40 years, and I had lots of different jobs. I spent most of my adult life as a teacher. I taught at San Diego State, at Mesa College, at Southwestern College in Chula Vista, and other places. But the center of my whole family's life was here, at this temple. And even if you don't live near a temple, then you can make your home like a temple. And you can, by associating with other devotees, however you can figure out ways to make everything that you do an offering to Krishna. So it's not a matter of changing uniform or anything like that.
I may add a little something. What Maharaj is saying, I can add a little bit to that. Karma yoga, since you mentioned the word, is you offer things to God, to Krishna. But Bhakti yoga means you offer yourself to God, to Krishna. Understand? One thing is to offer things to God. Another thing is to offer yourself to God. So that's Bhakti yoga. Means love. Unless there is love, you can't give yourself. You can't surrender unless there is love. So Bhakti means about love, loving God, loving Krishna. And that start by chanting His holy name every day. I recommend to you, please chant every day. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And that way you start Bhakti Yoga, by chanting His holy name.
And that's a good point to end on.
Yes.
That's our next activity.
Yes, we have to have kirtan right now.
What happens next? Vijamani, if somebody explains. 10-minute kirtan. Who explains